Hey guys, how's it going? Today I want to speak about the subject of, is humor a byproduct of evolution? I hope you guys believe in evolution. I certainly do. I do think that humor is one of the things that has made some people be able to evolve in some way, because they were able to make people laugh and also find a mate. And it's basically a human interaction that we have, kind of like talking, discussing, having conversations, and all these things. So humor is very important in our life, because it's kind of also in some way that good pill, that good medicine that can heal us from a lot of wounds, because a lot of people are suffering. And by having humor, and humor in everything, you basically live a long life. And even if you have an illness or sickness, I think that taking things positively, taking things lightly, will make you a much happier person. I mean, it's humor, so you have to be happy in order to be humorous in some way. And even within sadness, if you're able to find the humor, you will actually have a much better outcome. I've often seen people that have taken bad situations and turned them into good ones, because sometimes you just have crap that does happen to you. You can have a car accident, you can have something bad that happens to you, or something unpredictable that you just can't control. And sometimes you just have to laugh about things. If you take everything seriously in this world, well, that's a heart attack. And I do think that life in itself, in some ways, some sort of big farce. It's we have all these cultures, we have all these beliefs, we have all these values, we have all these rules, but what is it in the whole big grand scheme of the universe? We are just this planet in the middle of the Milky Way, and there's this whole universe and whole galaxies and then all these things all around us, and we are just this little planet. And within this planet we have all these countries and all these religions and all these political beliefs and all these things, but in the end we all die. We're all born, we all die. It just takes a natural disaster for all the things that you fought for in a war to change. It takes one accident for a healthy athlete to become an unhealthy athlete, or to pass away. It's just so trivial, because we live in this whole thing and this whole world where we really kind of live in some way where it feels almost as if we're eternal, where we're never going to die. We just live all these days so simply, and then we waste a lot of time and do a lot of silly things, and we call people children, and then they're adults, and then they're elderly or middle-aged or whatever you want. But then we all do stupid stuff, and we try to be above animals, and we try to be above anything really, because we say that we are human. And if you're on the Western world, you think that you're better than all the southern countries or the eastern countries and all that stuff, just because you have a bigger city. But also with a bigger city you have bigger politics, and then you have scam artist politicians that happen actually in bad countries even worse than better countries, because I can't say any country is the best. It's just that we're a part of this world. So we have to be humorous about this, because you work so hard on all these things, and then in the end, you die. And you have a sort of legacy in some way that you try to have to the people around you, or the family that you have, and stuff like that. But at the same time, what's it all for? So it's important not to take all these things seriously, because I often think, if you are, let's say, mad at someone, or you are quarreling with someone, but then a year later or 2 years later, or even like a day later or a week later, you kind of think about the quarrel you had or why you're not speaking to that person. You kind of don't remember, or it's like, yeah, I remember that time, and you still want to be mad because you were mad. Then you get to a point where basically you realize how it doesn't matter because you don't even remember. A lot of times, again, the wars, even the big wars, are written by the people who won them. So even that first quarrel was not correct. And then at the same time, too, when you really look into them, you see that sometimes wars are started because other countries might be wanting to just take advantage of some sort of situation. So they accuse them of one thing, and then it becomes this whole big war. Whereas in reality, well, it didn't really matter. They didn't do the thing. The war shouldn't have started. And it's for land, it's for petrol, it's for a lot of silly things. And then in the end, you talk about the wars where people are still alive from those wars, but then with the centuries, with time, it's kind of forgotten. And then at the same time, the thing is that in some way, because of multimedia and the fact that we're able to record stuff and all that, there's footage that now stays and remains, so you're able to study the things. But again, the footage is interpreted in a certain way and all that. But that's why I think it's important to have humor, to just take everything with a grain of salt, because what seems important to you now, most of the time is not as important in the future. And you are the center of your universe, and you are very important to you. But in the end, it's just you, and even your kids and even your parents and all these things, everything passes, everything dies, everything goes on. Either they have more kids, either all these things. So in the end, it just becomes the past. And some people are lucky, such as, we'll just say the example of William Shakespeare, where in some way his whatever he wrote on paper is kind of preserved, and then they're able to play it in theaters and in movies and stuff like that. But even to his family, it's like, yeah, I'm proud because I would be like, oh, I am an ancestor of William Shakespeare. But at the same time, then you're not really able to be better in some way or more known than that person. So it's not that useful. And whatever you think you know about that person, whatever you think you feel for them, well, you don't. In some way, you have this admiration, and maybe love for whatever their legacy was, but you still don't know that person. And it's just a very complicated subject. It's something that you, I think, should ponder about, because in reality, again, what was important 100 years ago, 200 years ago, even 10 years ago, 10 years ago it still affects us, but a lot of times things that have happened so long ago, they were so important that they created wars. But then at this point in life, sometimes it doesn't affect us, or sometimes it does affect us more than we think. But yeah, I think this whole life and everything is great. I'm very happy to be alive, but at the same time, it has to be taken with humor, because if you have hate, or if you have sadness and all these things, if you take them in a humorous way, because sometimes you just can't help that shit happens, you just have to accept it. And if you're happy, well, you have a greater chance of turning bad situations into good situations. That's why when someone says, hey, I'm having a bad day, I'm like, well, wait, maybe you had a bad moment, but does the whole day have to be bad? Maybe not. You can always turn it around. You just had a bad moment. Okay, that's it. That's all I have to say. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.